So now I've got the intro of the podcast out of the way and why I'm speaking a little bit faster than I'm normally doing. I'll try to slow down as I talk in these podcasts, but I'm speaking pretty loud and pretty ecstatic. Villa are staying in the Premier League for another year, and that's the last to talk about that, apart from the fact that I am wearing the mighty Villa retro jersey right now as I talk about today's topic. And this wasn't the initial lead into today's topic, but I want to talk about it anyway. I was in a local supermarket last Friday just gone, and there was a fridge that had, healthy and something about healthy food options or something like that is said in the fridge. I looked down and there was a pizza there. I'm like, okay, let's have a look at this. And of course, it was a gluten-free pizza. I'm not going to say it was some good fellas, but it was a gluten-free pizza. And I was like, okay, what makes it healthy? Okay, the gluten-free, how many calories has it got? And I had like 440 calories. And of course, I said, I have to look up and see what normal pizza, 440 calories for half a pizza. Sorry, I had to write before you guys start thinking, oh, that's really good. 440 calories for half pizza. So I have to see what the other pizzas are like just in case. So I went over to the other aisle, had a look at the other pizzas. The other Goodfellas pizzas, so same brand, everything else, all the rest, pretty much the same packaging. Instead of it saying gluten-free, this one says meat feast. The calories were pretty much identical. So the only way this was saying it was healthy was because it was gluten-free. And I know I've touched on this before on the podcast, but it's, in my mind, that's a scam. I mean, if you're a celiac, fair enough, have that pizza. That is obviously a lot better for you to have that pizza. But otherwise, I mean, unless I'm missing something here, is that why they're saying that that's a healthy pizza? Because it's not calories. And a lot of people assume healthier as in like less calories is going to help you with weight loss and all the rest. In terms of that, it's not, because the calories equate. They're the exact same. If anything, you're probably going to get more protein out of the meat feast pizza than you're going to the gluten-free one, whatever one that was. So it's not healthy, yet they're able to say it's healthy, which is just bananas to me. I mean, that to me that has to be false advertisement, right? To say that, but that's how they get. That's good marketing, I suppose, how they do get you on that one. But it would lead people to think that because this must be healthier, therefore that people equate it all the time, whether you want to admit that or not. People equate stuff that are more healthy with less calories in their mind, or it's not going to make them fat or anything like that. Which we can get on a different subject that I've definitely talked about in a previous episode of the podcast. I'm not saying that pizza will make you fat. I'm not saying I don't eat pizza. I haven't had a frozen pizza in a long time now to think of it, but definitely back in my college days, I was getting those Goodfellas pizzas. That the chicken polo one was like €2. That got me by my college days so much. Not the best nutrition habit and not the best healthy habit I had in the world at the time, just because my diet wasn't the best in the world. But doesn't necessarily mean pizza's bad. Have it as part of a balanced diet. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just be careful when you see gluten-free and what's good, and saying that's healthy when not necessarily. It isn't necessarily healthy for you. Depends on what way you're looking at it, and it depends on what way your calories equate over the course of a week. I always say, like 24 hours you go over your calories, fair enough, but you're under your calories over the rest of the week, you're probably going to be under your calories altogether, and that's what's going to count in the long term. The reason I'm talking about this is I still get asked a lot about exercise and how many calories and stuff would this burn. And I just think we're looking at exercise the wrong way. We look at it a lot of what's the best exercise to burn calories, to lose fat. Our burpees the popular one because it's used so many muscles. Burpees are the best exercise to lose fat. And then you get some smart ass personal trainer saying that plate pushes are definitely best. And you may be saying, well, what's plate pushes? Plate pushes is there's food in front of you and you push the plate away. I was like, okay, very funny, you're eating less calories, obviously, that helps losing weight. But at the same time, if you're not eating any meals, you're no use to anybody, because where are you going to get your energy from at all? So that's like, not eating is not the answer. In theory it is, but there's so many negatives to that, I shouldn't really have to spend any more time on it. So it's like, what exercises are the best for burning calories is an awful way of looking at it. I think we should be looking at exercises more in, how does this help get me stronger, or what are my goals in the gym or even outside the gym, if it's triathlons or running or whatever it is, that help me get faster, that help me get fitter. And through trying to achieve those goals, your fat loss will come into play, because you'll always be burning more calories, and you're more when you're healthier, you're more conscious of what you're eating anyway, so you're probably not going to have that extra slice of dessert or anything like that, or always be ordering pizzas or having those frozen pizzas, because you're like, I want to eat healthy because I want to have more energy. So I want to have more energy, eat the right foods, get the right vitamins, minerals into me, so that I'm able to perform better in whatever activity I'm doing. Because to be honest with you, there is no best exercise for fat loss. I know some people may be screaming this podcast going, well, what about HIIT training? I mean, you're burning your fat, you're burning exercise. I mean, you're sweating. Surely that works. Some people say you burn 6, 7, 8, 900 calories of stuff an hour. It's like, well, yeah, if you do pure HIIT training and you're able to sustain it for an hour, one, I'm not too sure you are doing pure HIIT training to sustain it for an hour, because it's so taxing, so demanding on the body. You can break it up a little bit and get a good 45-minute session out of it. But two, HIIT training is, I'm trying to think of the right word here to describe it. It's convenient in that it's time efficient is what I'm looking for there. It's time efficient. You'll burn calories faster because your body's working harder at that time, but you're not able to maintain that over a longer period. It's like talking about, would you walking 5k or running 5k? What would burn more calories? And quickly thinking about it, you go, obviously running 5k. You know, if you run a 5k, let's weigh that out a little bit. You run a 5k in 30 minutes. Great. You know, obviously you've worked harder in those 30 minutes. You're not working as hard when you're doing your walk. However, when you're doing your walking, you're probably going to it's going to be at least an hour to get to the same 5k mark. So you're working twice as long, not at a harder rate, but you're probably going to burn the same amount of calories over that time. So it's like a lot of people during COVID lost a fair bit of weight because they were walking, but they were walking a lot more because they were stuck indoors. So they're probably walking an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, doing, like, it wasn't uncommon to hear about people walking 2 hours, walking 10k, 13k and all the rest, just to get out of the house and do something. And the fat was falling off them. Now at the same time, some people were eating more because they were bored of the house. And we do that. We eat when we're bored. And we're like, just next thing you know, you're in the fridge and you're eating again. And look, I did that as well. But what I'm saying there is that people lost weight because they kept walking a lot more, and now we're coming back to this new norm and we're back in work and stuff. People aren't walking as much and the weight is slowly creeping up, and they're like, well, I'm at the gym, how come the weight is slowly creeping up? And it's because you did so much walking and you probably burned more calories. So now when you're back in the gym, you're back training, whatever it is, you got to look at it as, let's try and get stronger, let's curtail my diet, let's bring it in a bit maybe, but let's look at these certain exercises to get stronger in you know, whether it's squats and deadlifts, or let's try and get more chin-ups or more push-ups. Let's look at it that way instead of everything just all be about calories, because then you're going to not think about the exercise you're doing. You're not going to think about your form. You're not going to think about doing it correctly, the muscles you're using while doing those exercises and how to get stronger. Everything is just going to be equated on this number of calories, and you may be going off your watch, which could be wildly inaccurate. There's a study that was done, I think it's as much as 93% inaccurate. The watches can tell you how much calories you're burning. Like, I never look at it. And if you're down, well, one, check the studies online. They are wildly inaccurate smartwatches for that. I use it to get a rough idea of how much I'm sleeping and stuff like that. But even my step count is well off. Like, I'd be looking at it some mornings, and those that have a Fitbit will know it starts at midnight, it resets your steps, and it starts again. And like, I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, before I'm out of bed, I'll have a quick look and it says I've burned 45 calories. I've walked 45 steps, I've walked 45 steps. I'm like, do I sleepwalk? Because this is a regular thing. Like, I'm definitely not I'm not walking any steps. I'm in the bed for those 6-7 hours. I'm definitely not walking. Yet the watches keep adding stuff on. But if you get a rough number with it, and you kind of set that rough number as a benchmark, don't treat it as gospel, that's the number, that's what I'd work off, rather than that is an exact science and I have to burn exactly that amount, and then I'm able to afford to eat this much amount of food on top of it to balance out my calories, or I still be in a calorie deficit. I've talked about that before. That is a huge reason why people don't lose weight. When they think they're eating less calories and are actually eating more because they think they're burning more calories. You always think you're burning a lot more calories than you actually are. So be very, very careful with that. So my whole point with this whole thing in terms of talking about efficiency with HIIT and doing the right exercise for you, the efficiency with running as opposed to walking, is you need to change your mindset and how you look at exercise and look at it as a rewarding thing for not this I don't like the way I look or I'm too fat or anything like that. That's why I'm exercising. That's punishing yourself, and if you're punishing yourself, it's gonna put you in a bad mood every time you walk into the gym or every time you go do running. It's like, I have to punish myself to lose this fat or whatever it is. It's like, no, let's look at it as I am bettering myself at this activity, and in the long run those other results will come. So set goals in the gym. If you don't like the gym, fair enough. I'm obviously a strong proponent of the gym and strength training being a foundation for everything else. But if that ain't for you, that ain't for you. If HIIT training is not for you, if you dread the idea of going to a spin session, don't go to a spin session, because it's not going to last. Find something you do. There are so many different activities out there that one of them has to fit your lifestyle and give you something to look forward to. It's a Monday as you're listening to this podcast for a lot of people. There has to be something out there that makes you go, yes, I'm looking forward to doing this activity tonight or tomorrow night. And whether that's getting back into sports maybe, but there just has to be something out there for you to get back in. Exercise to lose weight alone is going to put you in a negative mindset, and it's not going to work over time. Got to put the phone on silence. That's a big man ringing me from America. We're supposed to do the Any Given Run Day podcast any second. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this podcast by saying, change your mindset on exercise. If exercise alone for fat loss was all you're interested in, you'd probably use a jump rope for an hour. If you jumped out for an hour, you'd burn a ton of calories. It'd be boring as hell, but that would be sufficient and that would work. So don't do that. And as well as that, it's a horrible way to kill an hour, to be in just jump rope over and over and over again, and your calves would be in bits too. But that would work. That would burn a ton of calories if that was the only goal. We're human. We're not going to do that. We need something to excite us, that keeps us going, that keeps us in a routine, building good habits. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up this episode of the podcast. I got one more podcast to record tonight, and then edit both of them before I get a couple of hours sleep before working in the morning. For those listening to my boot camp, no burpees, no extra burpees, because the Villa are in the Premier League for another season, and I am very happy with that. And that's all I got to say this week for this episode of the Coach Rob Fitness Podcast. Thank you for listening, and take care. Now that wasn't a hard video to get through now, was it? I hope you guys got some value out of the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the Coach Rob channel, which is somewhere here. And hit that button, subscribe to the Coach Rob channel, leave a thumbs up. There should be a couple of other videos around here for you guys to check out. And that's all from me, from Coach John. Take care.